said I wasn't gonna cry today. I don't even know how I came up with that great notion, but I'm a liar and the truth ain't in me.
Welcome to the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. Now, here's your host, author, speaker, entrepreneur, Cornell Jermaine.
Thank you for joining me. I have a special guest with me. She is an entrepreneur, real estate professional, author, and widow of the late LaShawn Big Shiz Daniels. On the subject of life after loss, please help me welcome Miss April Daniels. April, how you doing?
Hello, Cornell. I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you in your yellow and looking good.
Hey. You know, all this gloom in the world. I was trying to be a ray of sunshine today.
Right. Yes, we have to start our conversation at the day of September 3rd, 2019. I remember going on Google to look for an address for somewhere I was going. And, you know, when you go to Google, you have the trending topics. Yes. And there was a list. And at the top of that list, it read LaShawn Big Shiz Daniels. Yes. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, either Sean's record has gone double platinum or something terrible has happened. And I remember I'm thinking just in panic. So I said, well, let me go to social media and just see. And as soon as I turned it on, I think it was Kirk. Kirk had posted a tribute and my heart just sank. I can only imagine what that day was like for you. Take us back to that day. How did you learn of Shiz's demise?
Ooh, we just dove right in.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. This is good. Actually, we had a children's transportation business that we had just started. And in true Big Shiz fashion, my husband was adamant, I'm driving. We got to make sure that these kids are really, getting the top-notch treatment. I don't trust anybody else. I'm going to do it. And, for me, I was like, what do you mean you're going to do it? Like, no, but that was always his heart. Like his titles, his accolades never defined who he was, because he was still that guy that when we had a restaurant would pull up his sleeves and be in the kitchen washing the dishes. He was still that guy that we would go to church and he's moving sandbags, trying to, support the signs for whatever Connect weekend that we're having. It was always something that someone of his stature you wouldn't think would do the little work. You know what I mean? Like he was always involved. And so we had this transportation business. He was adamant about driving. That day we had a system. So with our service, there was tracking and cameras. So anytime it was moving, I got notifications to know where it was, what it was doing, what just happened, everything. So the norm for us would be after the last kid, he would turn off the camera so then the parents aren't watching him while he's off. But it would let me also know he's minutes away from arriving home, because the last stop was maybe about a 20-minute ride. That day was such a heavy day all in itself, because I had went to take also my state exam for my to be a real estate agent. So we talked in between me taking the test and him doing the stops, and I was on the phone talking to a friend, and she was asking me, how did you think it went? And we're on the phone and I see the notification that he turned the camera off, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He should be heading home and in the house within 20 minutes tops. 20 minutes passed and I'm like, where's he at? So I wrapped it up with my girlfriend. I started calling him and I couldn't get him. He had 3 different phones. I'm calling all the numbers. One is going straight to voicemail. The other one is ringing and the other one is nothing alarming. So I'm like, well, maybe he's outside the car talking to someone, because that's happened before where he'll run into somebody and he'll jump out the car. But all of the 19 years we've been together, I have never not known where my husband was. And so as time progressed, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So I'm like, okay, let me go backtrack the last route. In a million years, never did I think I would find what I found, but I'm just thinking maybe he has a flat, maybe he had a fender bender. I don't know, but I'm like, I don't like it. I'm getting in the car. So I go to get in the car. My youngest son, he's like, Mom, I want to ride with you. We get in the car, we go. I approached the last turn to the street that would have been from the last child drop off, and it was blocked off. And immediately I'm like, officer, please tell me nothing's wrong down the street. And he's like, it was an accident. And I'm like, please tell me my husband wasn't involved in this accident. Well, after sitting on the corner for almost 2.5 hours, being asked information repeatedly, they eventually came back to me.
Yeah. Wow. And you still have my deepest prayers and condolences, because I know this is something you never get over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember just maybe a few weeks prior texting him because he had I put me on conference.
Yes.
And I was so excited because anybody who knew Shiz knew, one, that he was one that willfully gave information to help anybody.
Absolutely.
And he wanted to see everybody win.
Yes.
So when I saw this conference, I was like, oh, this is right up his alley. This is going to be bomb. But I couldn't make it because of schedule conflicts. So I just wanted to send my congratulations and everything. So after that, the next thing I hear was this headline from his car accident. Do you recall your last conversation with him at all?
Yes. we had a few conversations, but I'll give you two pieces of two different ones. The initial conversation, when I called him after I took the exam, I FaceTimed him and he said, all right, baby, tell me you got good news for me. I was like, well, I got good news and I got bad news. He was like, you've got to be kidding. I'm like, no, which one do you want first? He's like, give me the good news. I said, well, I passed national. I said, which was the most questions. I said, but the state I missed by a few. He was like, okay. And he said, God has a bigger plan. And I was like, he does. And immediately, he always knew what to say. They would just, oh, so what? I feel like $1 million after talking to him, but he always had that effect. And so that was one part of the conversation that we had. And he was in a meeting at the time. And I was like, just go finish that. Call me back when you get out. And he finished it. And then somewhat driving home, I just really became so parched. I was like, it was a dryness I've never felt in all of my life. And I'm like, why do I feel like that? Like, it just didn't feel normal. And he called me back when he got in the car, and I shared that with him. And he was like, you're thirsty. And I was like, yeah, I'm thirsty. He was like, no, you're thirsty for more. And I was like, okay, we getting deep. Like, we going somewhere deep. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thirsty, I'm parched, So he was like, go and get something to drink and hit me back. And I did that. And I was talking to him, small talk, while he pulled up to the school. I was like, all right, babe, I'll see you in a little bit after you do the run. And then the day will go as normally planned, But that stuck with me because obviously then, without getting all deep, it just meant I was thirsty. But since he's been gone, I have such a deeper thirst for knowledge spiritually, for everything my husband has deposited within me. So I don't know if in some kind of godly way, was it an indication that I was getting ready to be stretched in an area I've never experienced in my life, and that God would be all that I need for this thirst in this season. So wow. I said I wasn't gonna cry today. I don't even know how I came up with that great notion, but I'm a liar and the truth ain't in me.
Wow.
You family, it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow. I know that's going to probably be an ever-going conversation as far as that thirst, but those are powerful words that and for those to be kind of some of his last words to you.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was pointing you to to the place. You know, like I may not be here to go get you a glass of water like I always am, but
yes,
this is what I want you to always remember, you know?
The craziest thing now looking back for me and my sons, it was so many conversations that I like to believe he knew. Not coincidence, because I don't believe anything God does is coincidence. But it was so many little nuggets, things that he said, just how he was maneuvering in the last few months. I don't know if God was dealing with him, but it was just too many things that at the time we were like, You know, one of the things was, I'll share with you, I was talking to my oldest son who just graduated from UCLA Law. And yes, and he was giving us all of the details around the graduation. And Sean was in the kitchen, I was in the living room, and we were on FaceTime. And I said, baby, you have to block out your calendar because we have to go to LA because Omar has all the details now. And he was doing something. I think he was making something in the air fryer while I was talking to him. And he looked over at me. He said, I'm not going to be there. He said it just like that. Well, the water baby I am. I was like, don't say that. Why would you say that? You know, I'm like, and immediately in my spirit, it wasn't a conversation we returned to. It was just like, let's just stop talking about that. No, we're not giving that life. And me and Omar were having like a conversation amongst ourselves at that point, like, why would he say that? You know, like, and then we just kind of brushed it off. But never in a million years would my husband ever have said anything like that. He was like, oh, Meezy, we gonna be there at that finish line, baby. Come on, bring it home. You know, like that was always his position. And that day when he said that to me, it wasn't a chuckle. It wasn't like I'm kidding. His response to me when I started crying and said, don't say that. Why would you say that? Was just very, as a matter of fact. And it wasn't like, baby, I'm only kidding. Or stop, don't cry. I was just playing. It was none of that. And, you know, I quickly wanted to end that conversation. So it wasn't like we resumed later and I was like, well, why would you say that? You know, I just didn't want to give it life. But I just remember his posture, the look on his face, how he said it, his tone. And I believe God was dealing with him.
Wow. The world got a chance to see what a beautiful couple you are on the hit We TV show with Tamar and Vince.
Yeah.
And they fell in love with you guys. You guys are in entertainment, and many think because entertainment, couples don't stay together, you know, they get married and then divorce. But you guys were an ideal couple that could be in the entertainment industry and still not only stay married, but be happily married. You guys really showed a uniqueness. What do you think that was in your marriage that allowed you guys not only to be partners in life, but have fun like friends?
God.
Wow.
All him. Because it was, in the beginning, if we was having this interview, both Sean and I would be like, oh, we wasn't making it to our first year anniversary. That wasn't an option. And, you know, like going into it, we had so many against us. His family alone, they just didn't believe in the marriage. So we had to make a vow to each other, like, it's me and you. Everything else is background noise. We in it, divorce is not an option. And honestly, as easy as that statement was just now for me to say, it was even harder going through it because you're in it, you know the vow you made to God, but to one another, and you're trying to uphold it. But we were so young, it was so many different bumps in the road that all you get when you get married is, don't go to sleep angry. Well, I need to know what happens if I do go to sleep angry, because some nights I'm going to sleep angry. Nobody wanted to talk about that stuff. You know, they make it seem like it's a white picket fence and it's a happily ever after, but that's so far from the truth. So for us, when we were able to get through year one, up year two, okay, we're getting some traction. Year three, yes, we argued. Yes, we had our ups and downs like any married couple. And if you meet a married couple that says they don't, something's wrong with that couple, because that's a normal thing, but people don't talk about that. And so for us, we started embracing the trials, and every year we made it was like, we got to get this back to other married couples, because I don't want to believe that we're the only two that have endured this and came out on the other side, and nobody's giving this information back to people. Like, that's why the marriage rate is so crazy, because nobody's being honest. And then people think they're broken because the couple that's fronting like they don't have no problems and not keeping it real isn't sharing with the couple that is going through something that, no, that's normal. And then people want to, it's not working. We need to just get divorced. So for us, being on there was important, so important to us. We was not doing it for fame. We was not doing it for any other reason, but to be on a platform that gave us more reach, because prior to Tamar and Vince, our living room, our house in New Jersey was the couple's haven. Every other weekend, it was couples, 5, 10 in my house in pajamas, while our other couple friends were chefs cooking food for everybody. And we was unloading stuff on the table that we're going to talk about this. This is a safe place. We're going to get through this. So when we had the opportunity to be on the show, we was like, this is what we do. This is amazing. Okay, let's do it. Now we have a bigger reach, And so being on there and just staying true to who we were, not trying to be the couple that got all the answers, because by far we do not, but we were willing to be transparent. We were willing to, listen, this is what we going through, when we had the opportunity to share on that level. But then, we realized it kind of took legs of its own, and people were able to, relate on a whole nother level, aside from the whole Tamar and Vince celebrity type of situation, but just real people telling real stories and really being transparent and not caring what people think. If I can share something God brought me through to keep another person with their husband or wife, then it's all worth it.
That's right. What transpired with that? Because the viewers, and I was a viewer of the show as well, loved the interaction, not only with you and Sean, but the four of you guys. You guys brought something to the show that I think it missed after you left. Yeah. Can you share what happened as to why you guys didn't continue?
Oh, it just wasn't conducive for our spirits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm picking all that up.
Yeah. Listen, it was a great opportunity. Thankful for it. But when God says it's time to go, it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you could be in a situation and your worth isn't really put in its full capacity to be beneficial to others. Mm-hmm. So if there's limitations that prohibit me from being me or us, then our time, thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much. But we gotta go.
Absolutely.
Well, Sean was a awesome music producer, arranger, writer, and he's worked with many of the greats. I'm curious, do you recall any of those stories? You were together 20 years as a couple. Do you recall any of those moments when he worked with Whitney or Michael?
I wasn't there when he worked with Whitney. I was there for Michael Jackson, the time when I first met him. He always says I was, mesmerized because Michael Jackson was standing there. But I'm like, I see people like Michael Jackson all the time. I wasn't moved one bit, But Michael Jackson, Brandy, of course. Mostly everything from 2001 on, I was around for. But Whitney Houston, I was not. I think the greatest story is the Michael Jackson story, because I did fly to Florida to go see Sean, and he said that Michael was like, so you have someone coming in or it's coming to see? He was like, yeah, I think she might be the one, Mike. I might. So he was like, but you gotta help me. You gotta help me seal the deal, whatever. He like, all right, cool. What we gonna do? So they set up this whole situation where when I come in, Michael was gonna come out and greet me over at the I can't even think of the name of the studio in Miami, but he came over, he greeted me. We were sitting there, we were talking, and then Sean was like, I come out and Mike act like he ain't want to leave the room. I'm like, all right, Mike, I got it. Like, you can come. But it was just really great being around him, because even for me, seeing how the media had portrayed Michael Jackson and to have your own experience was night and day. And I was just like, I remember walking away from that experience like he was nothing like I expected from what the media painted him to be. And so it was really a funny memory, and
Wow.
as the Michael Jackson helped him seal the deal, but he had me at hello. He didn't need Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, you have since moved on, and God is continuing to preserve you. What is life like now?
Well, it's not by any strength of my own, that's for sure. I have my good days. I have my horrible days, but Sean made me a promise, and that promise before he passed was God is going to take care of you. He has a bigger plan. And so I would make my God a liar and my husband in his faith if I didn't believe that for myself. And I've seen him move too much for me in the past to doubt him now.
Yeah.
So each day is a challenge. It's a challenge. I don't know what I'm going to get when I wake up. But in that, I've learned to really, you hear all these little cliches and cute little wordings and whatnot on Instagram and social media. But, I really have to let go and let God. I am in a season where I did not plan for any of this. So the idea of thinking I have control is funny to me, real funny right about now.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, Lord, every day you wake me up, use me how you see fit. The stuff I would like to do, I'm gonna throw in there when I can, but I really don't wake up with too much of a focus on my own stuff, more on the focus of how God will use me in that day.
Yeah.
With that, I'm able to have a peace that I think a lot of people probably in my situation struggle with much more than what I feel like I'm struggling with. My peace is not moved. I know who my God is. I know who he's been. I know my husband is in a better place. It's too many confirmations to have me with peaceful days and nights. With that, I am now venturing into a whole new world.
Yeah.
So it can be exciting. It can be scary. It can be fun. It can be not so much fun. But, with it all, I'm just being open-minded and optimistic and just really remembering to enjoy the flowers along the way.
You mentioned stepping into a whole new world. You not only you got your license or got past the test when he was here, but you're now a professional in the industry of real estate and author. You're soon to be author.
I am.
Yes. Tell us about those ventures.
So yes, I did. After my husband transitioned, I did go back and take that state portion, and I passed. And I had to finish what I started. It was important to me and him. He was my biggest cheerleader. I remember when I started, he was like, "Everybody go and congratulate my wife." I'm like, "You told the world?" I'm like, "What if I don't pass? Now the whole world knows." But I was like, I had to do this for him. I got to get myself together. He used to always say to me, "You are stronger than you think." And I would be like, "Oh, but I feel so," it's like, "No, baby, you got this. You can do it." And I hold on to all those conversations, and I'm like, "You can do this." So I went back, I did my test, passed, then joined the association. I'm now a realtor in North Carolina. I'm kind of moving slowly thanks to COVID, but Godspeed. I'm cool with it. With that, I decided I wanted to write a story. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write about my love story with my God and with Sean. I think there is so much to tell that can help anybody who reads it. And again, I'm all about the testimony. I'm still walking this thing out day by day, but I still have testimonies from where he's brought me to where I am now. And so I just want to share it with people and just let it bless them as I'm writing. I'm like, this is really blessing me all over again. And so,
yeah,
it's imperative. God doesn't take us through different situations to keep it to ourselves. Got to give back in every sense of the word. If it's you've brought yourself from the bottom to the top, give back. If you've come out of the darkness into the light, give back. You know, if any experience you walk through that had the power to kill you or break you, you give it back when you get out of it, because there are most definitely hundreds and thousands of people walking in that same path and journey that you can give them something beneficial to hold on to, or just to be encouraged or inspired. And so, you know, life is too short. I know that in every sense of the word. And with that, what are you doing? Sean used to always say, don't nobody care about what you've done. What are you doing? And I'm just trying to make sure I operate in that. What are you doing? If it's not helping, healing, touching, strengthening, it ain't worth doing. What are you doing?
Wow. What's so beautiful is Sean left you with 3 strong Black young men. How are they doing in this time?
They're managing. You know, all 3 of them are very different. Very different. They're dealing with their grief very differently, but their joy is still just standing strong through it all. I can't thank God enough. I mean, I pray every day, like, Lord, let me be the mother they need in this season. And he's working it out. You know, he's completely working it out. Jet is the youngest, and I swear Sean is inside of his body. Everything is just crazy because everything's amplified. So I'm watching him, just how he responds, how he jokes, how he laughs, the way he sits and his gestures. I told him, like, in the middle when COVID was like really going strong, I said, listen, you've got to stay away from the pantry. You want to take the chip away from really being your dad. Like, he had everything down pat, and then he was just people would see him on FaceTime, and they're like, he's like really looking like Sean these days. I said, I know. He was like, what do you mean? You trying to call my daddy fat? I'm like, no, I'm just saying, like, you are almost his clone. Like, what is going on? But oh my God, I love that kid. He is really the best parts of Sean. He really is.
He got that peanut chew. You know, the peanut chew. He like those too.
Listen, that he likes chocolate with peanuts in it, but Jet has a nut allergy. But he's crazy enough that he'll go and sneak candy with nuts and then dispose of the trash behind the bed. This is a true story. He was like 5 years old. And I'm like, you know, you're like EpiPen allergic to all nuts. Like, don't touch them. And I love turtles. And Sean will always get me the little pecan turtles individually wrapped. And one day I'm cleaning his room and he had about 20 wrappers behind his bed. I said, God, now I know you was keeping this boy because he is highly allergic and he done ate a whole gang of candy and just disposed the wrappers behind the bed. I'm like, Lord. So he's my child that likes to live on the edge. He keeps me
right.
The oldest is very reserved and calculated, and he has to think everything out 2 and 3 times. And then Tashawn, he is my middle son. So Sean and I both had sons when we met each other. Omar is mine, Tashawn is his, but together they're ours. And he's into music. He's pursuing music as well. And I just see so much of his dad in him. The more I talk to him and just seeing him, I just, everything is amplified. And I'm just like, man, my husband is in all 3 of these young men and alive and well in them. And it's just amazing. It's a blessing within itself to be able to still be surrounded by his presence.
Yeah. You guys, as a family, you guys chose to memorialize him in such a beautiful way that I don't think I've ever seen ever. What brought about that decision?
God, it's crazy. Let me just tell you the pressure. First off, I was like, my husband was an extraordinary man in his craft and in life. I'm like, so whatever I do, it has to represent this extraordinary man. Let me just tell you, I was like a nervous wreck because I'm like, okay, music, I'm tone deaf. I can't even tell you nothing about music. I can't even tell you anything about the aesthetics of what a production, like that's not my world. That's Sean's world. So I'm like, okay, I really got to just tune everybody out that's sitting in my house that's trying to give me helpful information, but it's just really just making a big cloud. And I'm like, just stop. That night I went to bed. I said, Lord, I said a long prayer, and I was very specific, like the one my husband and I prayed about before we even did the TV show. That's a whole nother testimony and story. But I was that kind of specific. And I was like, Lord, I need you to make it plain. And when I woke up, everything that we did, minus one part that my husband's business partner inserted to surprise me, God gave me. When I woke up, I was like, I want this person to sing. I want this person to sing. I want this one. I want this one to speak. I want this. And then that with Diane Valentine's design. And then my husband's partner, Brandon Cadell, he was the one sound and all of that vision. And it just came together. I was like, Lord, it was all you, because I just knew it wasn't going to be traditional. Absolutely not. No way, no how. I was like, this has to be on a whole nother level. And it wasn't about filling up the whole Elevation Church. It was about having the selective few that I chose to have there to be a part of this day and remembering a great man. And so I really was just blessed with that, because I have to say, now looking back at it, it was phenomenal. And I know that wasn't nobody but God, because in the beginning of it, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't think I have it. I don't know what to do. You know, like it's like telling a realtor to go into a lecture with a college class and teach Japanese, and you've never even spoken nor went to Japan. You know, I'm like, this is not my world. This is foreign. And so he gave it to me, and that thing came out so amazing. And I know my husband was looking down proud. I know he was. That nobody could tell me different.
Absolutely. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and Black Lives Matter. I mean, so much going on. I said, I don't think 2020 can take any more.
No.
But if Sean was here, what do you think his perspective would be of all of this?
Oh my goodness. If he was here, oh my gosh. If he was here, this would all be right up his alley. What I loved about him was he wore so many different hats. So when it came down to politics, he was always in tune. And I would be like, okay, I can't tune in because I start wearing it. And I'd be like, tell me what I need to know. Okay. You know, so now that he's not here for that, I have to now be more responsible with what I'm taking and allowing myself to learn and be a part of, because that was something I relied on him with. If he was here, he definitely would have his opinion of this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and it wouldn't sit well with him with where it was originated from. That's for sure.
Right, he'd be rebuking all kind of folks.
Yeah. And he definitely would have his own twist on this, and it would not be what the media is trying to get us to, you know, digest in our systems. It wouldn't be that. As far as Black Lives Matter, I know for certain I wanted to go out and protest so bad. I wanted to go. But when you're now single parent, and not because we're divorced, because there is no other parent, you got to be a little bit careful with what you pick and choose to be a part of. And so, not because of my people, but I can't be responsible for what an officer decides he wants to do with a crowd of people. And then now I got me and my child out there, and that just probably wasn't the smart thing for me in my situation to do at that time. So I definitely think if he was here, he would have definitely supported my idea of protesting, and he would have made sure we had, you know, certain, I don't know if it would have been where it was like popping over here in uptown Charlotte, where they was getting rubber bullets shot at them and all types of stuff, or if it would have been in one of the other areas that's a little bit more calm. But I know he would have been a part of it. He definitely would have been. He would have been here for it. He would have been depositing his voice to be heard on his social media platform. You know, he didn't back down from very much, but he had a way in approaching things that wasn't like, you gonna listen to me, but now I have your attention, so hear what I have to say. And so that approach was always, you know, it's always more effective when you moving so slower and softer, as opposed to hear my voice and I'm going to demand your attention, and and it meets opposition, and then you have conflict, and then nobody's listening to each other because you're yelling over each other. So it definitely would have been interesting to see what he would have been contributing into this whole situation. I know with quarantining, it would have been popping in our house, that's for sure. But between the bedroom and his Ask Shizzy show, it would have been amazing. That's what I know. So anybody who knows me, I'm a homebody, and all I love more than anything in the world was having my husband home. I said, Lord, you done took him away and then gonna give me a quarantine. I said, what in the world? I'm so sure this was not how this thing was supposed to go. I'm like, he's supposed to be here with me, fooling, having everybody cracking up on their timeline, and still, not. What I loved about him was he could have you cracking up, but he could also leave you with a nugget. It was never just a bunch of goofy, silly for nothing. There was a purpose in everything he did and said. And so, I don't know. I just, I try not to think about woulda, coulda, shoulda, but just really much live in the moment of where I'm at now, because I think when you go into those areas, it makes it dark and heavier than it has to be. So I try to stay in the areas of, boy, we sure would have had a good time during this quarantine. Yeah. Lord, what is my part that I need to, say or do for the Daniels and the Daniels boys? Like, I always try to not think like LaShawn, but tap into him some kind of way when I'm speaking to these 3 Black men who don't have a father. We can't teach men how to be men. We can't. I don't care how strong you are. You can instill in him some amazing qualities and characteristics, but a man is the only one that can speak to another man and give him something that speaks to his manlyhood, his manhood.
Wow. But you know what? I'll say that is Sean lived his life so out loud that he left that track record for them. You know what I mean? So I mean, and it may not come up for years to come, but I think he's made a strong deposit in them that you'll begin to see, like, wow, even though he's not here, he's still fathering them,
Absolutely. I do believe that. But, the other day, I was looking at Jet and I said, it just dawned on me, and I was like, he doesn't have a father. I know I'm capable of giving him everything he needs as a mother. But I was like, my God, he's broken. No matter how I want to label it, he's broken. It doesn't mean what he produces will be broken, but the reality of him is he's in a broken place. I can't fix that. And that to me was like a revelation in that moment. I was like, man. And he's like, Mom, why are you looking at me like that? And I'm like, I'm just looking at you, son. But I was like, at some point in his life, he's going to have to arrive without all the pieces. And that's been really heavy on me lately. Like, it's one thing to lose your father, but when you lose a good father, one that didn't fall short at any moment, that's a different type of father.
Yeah. April. I didn't plan on you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Listen, I'm going to cry. If I was standing up here in front of the church telling y'all we going to be giving out chicken platters after the service, I was going to be crying then too. That's what you got to know about me. So, it's good tears. It's in the crying today. It's still therapeutic for me. Every day I'm healing. But I'm okay. I'm okay with telling my story. I'm okay with talking about my loss. I'm okay with it. It's just God hasn't really delivered my tear ducts from flowing so rapidly. I'm like, all right, Lord. But then somebody told me, how do you know God doesn't want you to cry when you talk? Maybe there's something about your crying that will reach people, that someone that just stands there with great, strength and less emotion isn't able to give a listener. So I don't know. I'm just, hey, Lord, use me how you see fit.
That's right. That is right. Well,
Yeah.
we're in this season where so many are losing family due to COVID and other things,
Yes.
What can you share about grief that maybe you didn't know 9 months ago?
They gotta take care of you. I wish I could sit here and say, oh, I believed it and I saw it and it happened, and that's real cute with a vision board. Go through some real life stuff. It don't happen that easily. And, I have been placed in a season that I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. All I know is my faith in God. That's all I know. It doesn't matter how I went to school for real estate and passed, and now I'm a realtor. Then COVID hit. So I did everything I was supposed to do, and yet there was a block in the road, and now I have to take a detour. Doesn't mean I won't get back on track, but I shared that to say, it's okay to be without a compass. I need to know, I need directions. I got to have everything organized, and to some a control freak, to others just a well-organized person. That's me. And so the biggest challenge was learning how to just let all that go and be at peace with whatever may come. After you lose a husband, there's very little that can rock your world. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm here. I don't know, but I know you. I know the promises you've made. I know all the times that you've kept us, covered us. I know who you are. I know you work. I know you work in my favor. I know you're not a God who lies. I know your word doesn't return void. So if I know that one thing, never mind how I'm feeling right now, I'm going to be sensitive to that. If I need to cry, I'm going to cry. If I need to pray longer, I'm going to pray longer. If I need to shut the world out and just have time to me and my God, then that's what I'm going to do. But at the end of the day, I've become really okay with leaning completely into his arms and trusting whatever he has for my life. Not just saying it because it sounds cute, but really acting it. My posture is, Lord, how will you see for me today? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? I can't say it enough. I'm like, I can't get bent out of shape over little things anymore because I've gone through a bigger thing. And with that, I know that Sean would not want me to give up on myself. My God wouldn't want me to give up on myself. So even in my moments of disparity, when I don't know what I can't wrap my head around it, I just have to be still and give it all to God. And he has not failed me, not one time. Every decision I've had to make since my husband passed away, God has been there for me. He has guided my steps, and I have no regrets. There is such a peace that gives me the ability to rest in not knowing. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with knowing God knows more than me. I'm okay with being still and allowing him to order my steps. I'm okay with not being a part of the things I used to be a part of because now my husband is gone away, because I know whatever God's doing in my life is greater. The purpose through all the pain is not for nothing. Anybody, I believe, that endures such a high level of pain in their life, God is birthing purpose out of that. You got to believe that. No way would he take someone from us to have us give up on ourselves. That's not the plan. When we don't allow our spirit to become stronger than the human side of us, it robs us from everything. I have to stand in a place that allows me to hear his whispers. I can't reiterate that enough. Somebody said to me, why his whispers? I said, because my pastor shared one time that when he's whispering, that means he's close. I don't want him to have to talk loudly from across the room. I want to know he's close. I want to know he's within my personal space and he's looking over little old me when little old me don't even know what tomorrow's going to bring. That's the kind of relationship I want with God. And if I can't put my time and my hurt and my love and my joy and my pain into the relationship with him, there's really no other relationship worth having. For me, it starts with him and it ends with him. And so anybody going through grief, it hurts like you wouldn't believe. But God wants you to keep living. Someone had to remind me of that because for a minute I thought the will to keep living was a guilty thing to do. How can I keep living when he's gone? That's not a guilty thing to do. You have to keep living because if I start dying by giving up on me, I'm not fulfilling the purpose. It's not for nothing. I don't know why God chooses the people he chooses, but it's too late to talk about that. I'm chosen. So with this new responsibility, I have to believe there is greater. I have to believe that if ever I'm in doubt, he's the answer. I have to believe that when I'm at my loneliness and hurting and feeling like, God, I'm all alone, he is enough. It's not something that you can physically do that changes everything. It takes time. But the more that I decided to give God my yes, the more I felt my strength coming, the more will, the more ability I had to just keep pushing and keep going and just keep doing all that I can do, all that I know how to do.
That's right. That's right. I will say this, and I'm not trying to be deep or wonderful or anything, but as you were talking, I was just thinking about how many other women who are widowed and have to raise their sons alone. And some of them have been widowed for many years and have not come to this resolve like you have.
Yeah.
You know, and I say all that to say is I think there's something there that they need from you. So as God leads you, you know, opens that door, but I think that's something you have to deposit to these women because it's tougher than you think, you know, and many of them never come to that place where you just spoke, bro. Yeah. So I'll just leave that there. I'm not trying to be.
I received that. Yeah. I believe that. You know, I remember not even 2 weeks after Sean passed away, me and my husband, we led it. It's like a Bible study with our church, Elevation Church, called E-Groups. And we had a couple E-Group. And we had about maybe 52 couples in the group. And so about 2 weeks after Sean had passed, I got a call from one of the wives in the group. And she was like, you know, I'm sorry, but I needed to talk to you. And I couldn't think of anybody else to talk to. And all I kept thinking was, you were the strongest woman I knew. And instantly my flesh was like, I just lost my husband and you calling me, asking me for advice. And as soon as I got that feeling, my spirit knocked it out there and said, and why shouldn't she be able to call you for advice? And it was crazy because when it happened, I was like, well, you got me together real quick. I'm like, okay, Lord. And I said, after that, I was like, if anybody comes to me asking and I get, whether it's in a DM and I happen to read it, if it's a text, if it's a phone call, it is my duty. It is my duty. God has pulled me out for me to deposit back. So I believe every word you just said. Whether I want that responsibility or not, I don't get that say-so. I don't get that privilege. As soon as he said to me, he got my spirit together, all the way together. I was like, you know what? It's not a bad time. What do you need? And just to be able to pour into her when I didn't think I had anything to pour into my own self, let alone somebody else. And it was in that he showed me in that moment, like, I got you. You don't think that you are enough or you have enough. But with me, you have everything you need. And so I just really, I don't run around here talking about I'm a prophetess or evangelist, or you can have all them titles. All I know is I'm little April Daniels, and God is doing something crazy for me. And if he can do it for me, he can do it for the next person. And if anything I've walked through can help somebody else, you better believe I'm screaming from the rooftops.
Beautiful. April, I'm so happy you joined me. Before I let you go, we got to play this little game just to lighten up everything.
Okay.
So it's called My 5 Favorites. So I'll give you 2 options and you just pick whichever one is your favorite.
Okay.
Reading or writing?
Writing.
A night out or Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill.
LA or North Carolina?
Anywhere but LA. No, North Carolina for sure.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Sneakers.
Cake or cobbler?
Cobbler.
Okay. And last one, and this goes back to a few weeks ago. I don't even know if you watched it, but Teddy Riley or Babyface?
Babyface, because he is a man of order.
I know everybody was looking at Teddy like, what is you doing? Teddy thought he was at the arena.
Oh,
he was trying to do a concert.
He's talking about, is that you? Babyface like, no, that's not me. I'm fine over here. Still love Teddy Riley, but all day Babyface. I'm like, he was very organized. He was together. He was prepared.
That's right. Well, April, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. My best to you and the family and my continued prayers.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Well, this has been the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. Until next time, let your soul be made whole. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Build on Beauty podcast. For more information about our host, please visit cornelljermaine.com.